Hey queens, kings, and everyone else in between or outside the scene. I'm Caleb B. Millen, aka K Millen. And today we're going to ask the question, do you transphobic people hate me? Because I really don't know if transphobic people would hate me. Because I am a kid and I'm just trying to live myself. You know, I haven't gotten much transphobia online as well, which influenced me making this video because it's just very interesting. Would transphobic people hate me? If there's transphobic people watching, why do you hate me? If you hate me? So I just kind of want to really expand this question, I'm going to give you a bit of history on myself and just kind of who I am. And then if you still hate me afterwards, comment. So, do you transphobic people hate me? I am a kid that have always just felt left out. It's always felt different. And I never really knew why. I would get myself to all this trouble. I have been suicidal for, say, as long as I can remember at this point. And that's really all down to me just not really realizing who I was. So when I did, about a year and a few months ago, it felt good. And I was just kind of questioning, like, hey, why didn't I do this the entire time? Why didn't I? Well, because I didn't know. Because the world didn't want me to know this was an option for me. You see, I have grown up in hoods my entire life. The projects, is always very male focused. Always something pushed me towards men stuff. Now, when I started realizing this was an issue, for me especially, was when I used to go to church, and because my family's Christian, I used to go to church, and my mother would start pushing me towards these guys and being like, hey, they would teach you like how to be a man and it's kind of stuff like that. I always told, be a man, stop crying, don't dress like that, don't do that, and a lot of very, at this point, sexist stuff. As much as misogyny is an important topic, I really think that we need to talk about how there's a lot of sexism against men too, and how men are thought to be a certain person in life. Holy shit. Did you just see that? What the fuck was that? Anyways, men are thought to be the certain person in life. How am I just gonna go back to just talking normally? They can still be around. I didn't even know what it was. Could have been a dragonfly, could have been something that could steal me and kill me. Anyways, let me get my thoughts back together. So men are supposed to be like this guardian figure or stuff like that. And I was really leaning into it later years of my life, really thinking, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be. Right before I transitioned, like a lot of trans films do, I was working out a lot, and I got a lot of short haircuts, and I was getting into fights, and it's a lot of stereotypically male things, which a lot of people would say, okay, fights not good, but a lot of people would say, okay, the other two things, was nothing wrong with it. What was wrong with it was that I wasn't happy. And it took me really diving into myself, really taking the time to experience who I was to realize that. Because also at that time, I was becoming very, very misogynistic. I hated women. I would call every woman I see a bitch. I would say that to their face, and I would say, I don't give a fuck, bitch. This is what I'm gonna fucking call you. Really just being an absolute asshole. And if you think that is better than just being yourself, I want to know why. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. And after I realized, how terrible I had been, and if I would have just accepted myself, I would have gone down a different path, everything changed. I went through so much after I transitioned. So much. And I've only socially transitioned, by the way. But I went through so much. The friends I lost, the family members that just kind of abandoned me. I was having a really, really, improved relationship with my dad. He's always been just a terrible guy, and now I fully realize that. But I was having a better relationship with him. Yes, it led me to disrespect my mother more because terrible guys, they kind of influence you, especially when you're, growing up to think a certain way. But I was getting along well, and then I transitioned, and for the most part, he was fine. He was cool. He said he was fine with it, but then it all went down one day, and it for a whole weekend afterwards. I was detransitioning. I was just stopping everything. I had a wig at the time. I was like, I'm not wearing this wig. I'm not putting any makeup. I am done. I am absolutely done. But then I realized, wait a minute. I'm not happy like this. Why should I give a fuck what anybody else thinks is right for me? So, I didn't. I went back to socially transitioning. Another thing I really want to make sure is that I wasn't influenced by anybody to transition. It was really just my own feelings. For years, I was just a straight boy. But then I met some people in middle school. And I met a few girls. They were bi. And I met this interesting guy that just very feminine. And I was just very interested. Because I was like, you can do this? What? Before, I barely even knew the word gay. I didn't even know what bi was till those girls told me. And that's when I was like, huh. Interesting. I took that for a while. As much as they tried, I kind of just kept on denying that I was bisexual. I kept on trying. There was so many friends who were bisexual, I was just like, nah, mate, it's not for me. But I was attracted to this boy at the time, and over the summer afterwards, after I don't know, it was after the first year I met him or second, I was just kind of realizing huh, I am bi. Yeah. I guess I might be. And I considered that, and then I just kind of accepted it the next school year round. I lost some friends and people that I thought cared about me. But I wasn't openly bi. I wasn't openly queer. It took me years to figure out I was trans after that because of the fact that it was so heartbreaking that everybody didn't like me. But I knew this was me. So years go by. When I say years, I mean it's just a few years. But years go by, and then I realized, you know what, this isn't even right for me. So over one summer, I started painting my nails, and it felt good. I loved painting my nails. I was like, this is interesting. Then I started, then I started wearing my nails out in the house, and it was an interesting thing because I didn't even tell my mother or anybody I was bisexual. They had no idea I was queer. My mother was actually very much just kind of thinking, oh, it's just a phase type thing with a lot of queer people. She said it about my sister because my sister was kind of openly queer before me, but she is younger than me, but she's always been the most brave, which is very interesting. But yeah, my mother was kind of against it, but I still came out, and I still was just kind of wearing my nails, just like, hey, this, who I am, black nail polish. And then I started wearing lipstick, and then school came around, and this was my first year of high school, I think. I was virtual when I was doing all that, but obviously, me, I did not come online virtually. I did not show my face in anything because I just anxiety. And so school came around, and I was like, okay, I'm really gonna do this. I really go wear nail polish and lipstick to school. This is a first. I've been bi for so long, but not openly queer in any way. I didn't even know the word queer by then. I didn't even know there was a queer community back then. Let that be also noted. I thought there were so little people on the planet that was like this. So then I go to school, and I didn't have my lipstick for the first couple of days. I was just nail polish, just nail polish, black nail polish. People asked, they was like, you bruised your fingers or something? And I just kind of played it off, stuff like that, just kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever. But then they caught on, and I was a very shy person. And I also want to note that I did not have anxiety before being openly queer, but that came afterwards. I literally said before, oh yeah, I don't have anxiety like other people. I've always been depressed, but anxiety, what are you talking about? Then I, came openly queer and have a lot of anxiety. And once I started wearing my lipstick, it was undisputable. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, there's something else going on here. A guy can't wear lipstick and nail polish, but come on now, mate. There's something else. I secretly bought a wig off of Amazon, and I was just like, I'll wear this. I made this Google account, which I am using currently and have been using for over a year now. I made that before I even really say I socially transitioned, because I already knew my name, Kay, which I then later spent it to Kayla, and then they also added my middle name, Queen. That was Kay Millen, and it was fun. It was nice. But then mental health problems really came about when I was feeling really suicidal at the time. And I had to be admitted to a mental hospital, but thankfully, I was able to prove that I'm okay. But then immediately afterwards, it was like, okay, no. Let me wear this wig, because I had it for a little bit. Let me wear this wig. Let me go to school. I went to school with my wig on. You can see a previous video on my first trans B-Day on the channel. You can just see that whole experience. But I wore the wig. And I was just kind of like, wow. That's fun. This is fun. This is me. And then shortly afterwards, people was immediately like saying, you trans? And I was just like, what? What is that word? What is that word? What does that mean? And then I kind of found out. And it was kind of like, yeah, this is me. I guess I am trans. And then shortly afterwards, I found out that I was pansexual, and the rest is history. But as you see, I'm still trans. Because it feels good. It feels right. I may not be wearing the crazy wigs anymore. I've become more accepting of myself. I just have my hair. I'm goth as fuck. Which at a certain point in my early transition, I was not. I was not goth anymore. And yeah, it was something. But I'm still trans. I'm happy. So do the transphobic people hate me? Do you want me to be sad? Because you say, just accept yourself, but that's what I've done. So yeah, that's really the question. I really wanted to post this video, and I wanted to give you a little bit of history of myself too. Oh yeah, also shortly, a few months after I figured out the word trans, then I really was like, okay, so what is this queer thing again? Kind of on the whole queer community. When the first few trans people I came about on YouTube, it's because I searched it up. I literally have to search it out. I did not find any of these people. I searched it up. Oh, Jamie, nice. Shaba, uh, his wife, and Samantha Love, and Lazaria, and I slowly got introduced to everybody. And I was still very unsure about so many of these people. But then once I realized, wait a minute, no, they're actually good. And it's okay to be unsure. It's okay to learn new things. It took me months to watch Rolly, which is a very outwardly gay man, which with tons of tattoos and piercings, and I was just so you know, used to that it was hard for me to really get used to it. But once I did, I was just kind of like, yeah, now this queer community, this is my community now. I am a part of it. I say that's my story. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully I was able to make a change. But anyways, queens, hopefully you all have an amazing, lovely day. Goodbye.